All right, so what just came in is this precision dog training virtual boundary system. So it's a wireless dog training and it works on 3 different modes. So you have training mode, which is if you're just going to train your dog and train them to respond to positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement, right? So if your dog is jumping, barking, chasing squirrels, and you're trying to redirect that behavior, that would be training mode. Mode number 2 is keep in, which actually acts as a virtual invisible fence. And so I'll talk about that in just a minute. And then the third one is keep out mode. So you can do the same thing as the virtual fence, but you put it on the outside of the perimeter in a smaller radius, and that would keep things from getting into something. So if you have a garden and you don't want the dog to get into the garden, that would be something that you would set up like the keep out mode. You want to keep it out. If you are working on the invisible fence, you want to keep the dog in, and so that radius goes a lot larger. So I'm going to break down what came in the box, and then we'll talk about all of the different modes. So first and foremost, a couple different pieces here. It comes with one collar. So you have, this is called your base. So this is your base activity unit. This is where you're going to control everything. You can mount this on the wall, or it actually has a tripod type feature. And so if you didn't necessarily have a setup to do it on the wall, you could mount this on the tripod, and this extends right here, and you just mount the base into this device here. This is going to act as your home base. So when you're talking about setting a perimeter for keep out, it's going to go off of where is this centrally located and what's the radius that my dog is at with the collar on to the particular base. So again, you can use tripod or you can mount it on the wall. There's all the hardware and everything in here. Also, what comes with the hardware is depending on the length of your dog's coat, there is some prongs that are here and there's some that are a little bit longer, because if your dog has a really thick coat and really long hair, you want to make sure that the magnetic poles can actually touch the skin of the dog, because that's what gives it its direction. So let's talk a little bit about what we have here. So it comes with one collar. It's got the easy snap. This is really nice rubber collar, so you can tell it's really good weather resistant. And then you have the actual device here. So the proper placement of this when you do put it on your dog and you have it on is that it's at the base of the dog's neck underneath the chin, not on the back, not on the side, but right here. And again, you want to make sure that these two things right here are touching the dog's skin, because if it beeps, if it pulses, if it vibrates, your dog is going to be feeling this particular vibration. You also have the activation button, which turns this on. Before you get started with anything, of course, you want to make sure that you charge everything. You want to charge the collar, you want to charge the base. So we've got all of the different charger mechanisms. They give you a wall unit, so all of this comes with it. The collar will not necessarily be functioning while it's charging, but this base unit completely functions while it charges. It does have a little bit of a film on it, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that off so that you can see this. And then what also comes in the box are the yard stakes. So we talked about that invisible fence. You actually can set these as markers in your yard so that you can know how far away you're marking everything so you can get the perimeter correct. The other cool thing about this is that you can use this for multiple dogs. That's the thing that it's really known for, is that this device has the ability to pair up to 3 dogs. So you would have to purchase additional collars because this kit just comes with one, but you switch between dog number 1, what mode do I want to put it on? Dog number 2, what mode do I want to put it on? And so forth. So a little bit about the unit. You have the on-off switch at the top. You also have the USB charging port there. You've got the wall mounting bracket holes right here. So I've turned it on and you can see I have a simple display. I have a plus minus logo right here. That's going to increase or decrease the intensity of whatever you're working on. And then you've got M for mode. So I'm going to navigate between, and at the very top it actually says keep out and dog training. So you know exactly what you're working with and what mode you're on. These additional buttons down here, you have the vibration, you have the beeping sound, and you have more of a pulse. It is not listed as a shock, it is listed as a pulse. And then you have a little dog logo. The reason why you have a dog logo is because that's going to allow you to navigate if you have multiple dogs. If you just have the one, then obviously you don't have to switch back and forth between those. Right now I'm on dog training mode, so let's just say I want to try to focus on positive reinforcement for my dog. Then I'm going to decide, what am I starting with? They do recommend that you start with sound, so we're going to go ahead and click the beep. From the beep, I can increase the intensity from there, and you can see that it goes up to 8, 9, and then it starts back over. If I were to switch to the pulse, it goes all the way to 16, and again, I can plus or minus that. And then if I'm on the vibration, I can plus and minus that as well, and you can see that it navigates through there. If I'm switching to another dog, switch the dog, pick the mode that I want to do, and then pick the intensity. It's that easy. When you're setting this up, it does come with really good instructions. So there's a couple booklets here. Whether you're deciding to do the training first, you're trying to do the boundary, the keep in or the keep out, there's a lot of really good instructions on how do you start out and what do you do. It also has you setting for your invisible fence. If you were doing a boundary, the invisible fence, it goes anywhere between 10 feet to 120 feet. So in radius, right? So that's going to be from the center point of wherever the dog's main area is that he's hanging out in. It can go up to 120 feet in radius, not circumference, right? So that's half of that circle. So really you're looking at 240 from a circumference standpoint. So that's a pretty big area that you can keep your dog contained in. In the other area, which is the keep out, that one's much more of a smaller radius. So you're looking anywhere between 5 and 15 feet because it's designed to keep the dog out of the kitchen, keep the dog out of the garden, keep the dog out of the office. We don't want him to go in there. And so again, it's on a much smaller radius. So when you set those parameters on here, as the dog is wearing these, and again, this is visual for you. This doesn't have any bearing on the mechanical stuff, right? This is just your visual representation. But when the dog is wearing the collar and you've set a radius of, let's just say 100 feet, when the dog crosses over that barrier, it actually gives warning beeps at first. It does 3 quick beeps. And so the dog's natural tendency should be, oh, something's happened, let me back up, let me get back into my area. It will go through a series of successions, and the book tells you all about it, between beeps, vibration, and pulse, and at various intensity levels for up to 7 different tries, because it's trying again to get your dog to correct its behavior and get back to the area that it's supposed to be in. At the end of 7 attempts, if that still has not corrected the behavior and your dog is still going outside of the boundary areas, it goes into what's called a protection mode, and it basically locks up the collar. And so it just basically becomes non-functioning at that time. It's just kind of locked out because clearly what's happened is that direction is not being, or that behavior is not being corrected. So there's a lot of really good tips in here on how you start your dog off when you're in training mode, and they do recommend that you do that. You start with beeps, you start with different things, all the way working up to a 6-week training program, because really this is what it is for, is professional training of your dog using stimuli. So if you are looking for a wireless training system for your animal, this is not shock, this is vibration, pulse, and beeps. That also can be used for multiple dogs. That is a very top-notch system with the invisible fence. I've seen the dog training, but I've not seen it paired with the invisible fence, so I thought that was really cool. If you're looking for something, I highly recommend checking out Precision. This is something that seems well worth the investment.